Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108, to my Blu-ray pick a video for November of 2020. Yes, we are slowly but surely getting through the 2020 pickups. We've been rolling along, and now we're almost to the end, guys. And this time around, a small but very interesting size stack. So let's get into it, shall we? With the first title that I picked up, and that is none other than Antebellum. Yes! The Blu-ray DVD digital of Antebellum. And boy oh boy with this movie, guys. So I was very much interested in this movie when the trailers came out. And I was actually kind of a little confused, I'm not gonna lie, because when I saw the trailer I was like, wait a minute, is this a time travel tale? It's different time periods. It seems like maybe the same people are going through these experiences. Is it their ancestors? What's happening here? And so I was very intrigued by this movie, not gonna lie, man. And basically, the movie is about. This is a tough one, isn't it? Because if I say what the movie's about, it's seriously a spoiler. So all I'll really say is it's about this woman in slavery times that is trying to find a way to escape. Put it that way. Anything else that I say would be a monumental spoiler, and I'm not going to do it for you guys. But what I will say is this movie is extremely well done, man. I mean, from everything, like the acting is phenomenal here, the set design, I love the costumes, the cinematography, everything is top notch in this movie. And what I really love about this film is the idea of doing more horrors within within the African American community, which I think has sorely been missing. I think there's been a lot of really great horror that has come out in recent years, like Get Out and Us, and a few other things that have really risen the African American community into putting out really great and fascinating and interesting horror tales that not only are unique but are really extremely relevant and have a ton of social commentary to them. I think they're all incredibly fascinating, man. And even back in the day, some really great movies, even like something like Tales from the Hood, which, as kind of ridiculous as Tales from the Hood is, I really do love the message that movie had at the time. I thought that it was really unique, and I loved the social commentary and what they were talking about with racism, kind of like what they're doing with this movie, but it's a little bit more sophisticated. It's a little bit more well made and much more serious in tone. And I really enjoy this movie a lot, guys. I mean, I truly, truly do, man. What I will say about this movie is go into this movie blind. And I will truly say that, man. Not every movie I'll say go into a movie blind, but this is one of those movies that if you go into this movie completely blind like I did, other than watching the trailers, you don't know what's happening. And you're slowly figuring out the puzzle, and once all of it takes shape, it's a really just very unique and interesting plot, and you realize, like, oh my god, like, this happens, this is real. Like, people get kidnapped, you never find them again, they go completely missing, and you're like, wow, what if this really goes down, and what if this happens for real? Like, that blows my mind, guys. It truly does, man. I mean, that's wild, dude. It's crazy the imagination that some movies really have, and when you find out what's really going on, you're just like stone cold shocked by it. But the fact that even though we live in present day where technology is so vast and all over the place. The fact that something like this could happen, man, that is terrifying. That truly is. So I got to give this movie a lot of credit, man. It shocked me, and at the same time, I was just blown away by how excellent the movie was made, and just how relevant and the social commentary and everything just worked to this movie's advantage. I really, really love this movie so much, man. It was truly, truly well done, extremely well executed, and as far as sort of movies that take the idea of racism and social commentary to another level, this is one of the better ones in like the recent years, man. Put this up there with Get Out or Us, which really has to be experienced. So well done, man. And they had some very interesting features here. They have the history in front of us, Deconstructing Antebellum, a two-part documentary. This is an awesome documentary. They dive into everything from how they came up with the story to casting to almost obviously getting the recreation right of the old South, and even using elements from Gone with the Wind. They actually used the original cameras and the lenses that were filmed for the original Gone with the Wind. And that's crazy. I mean, they went out of their way to be as authentic as humanly possible, and damn, did they do a great job at it, man. They really honestly did, dude. You also get a hint of horror, the clues of Antebellum, opening Antebellum, deleted scenes, and theatrical trailers. This is a really solid movie, man. Extremely well done, amazing social commentary, and the idea that, to me, there's not enough representation sometimes within certain communities when it comes to horror films. And I think the African American community, as it's been in the past, it's always kind of been a little bit of a joke, right? And I think slowly over the course of many decades, we've slowly gotten more representation, and there's been a certain level of awareness more and more. And I think with filmmakers like Jordan Peele and others really coming to the forefront, I think we're starting to see more and more of it, and I think that's only a good thing. And as long as we can get really great, strong, very, very, very resonating horror tales like Antebellum, I think this genre will continue on and on. I think the African American community will only shine even more. I'm just glad there's a spotlight to it, and I'm glad that movies like Antebellum exist. It's hard hitting. Sometimes it's hard to watch, but it's incredibly fascinating, and I think it's movies like this that really open people's eyes to the past and what the future can hold. And for me, extremely well done, man. Absolutely worth a watch, and what an experience, man. Amazing. Definitely, definitely worth watching. Antebellum. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is Arrow Video Love, and that is none other than Last Starfighter! Yeah! Look at that, man. Look at that nice, juicy cover. Yes, that's a great cover, man. When Arrow does a really great edition, man, damn, they do some pretty good artwork, I'm not gonna lie. Have that, and on the inside, the original artwork, not half bad. Alex Rogan was a small town boy with big time dreams, but in his wildest dreams, he never suspected that tonight he would become the last Starfighter. Starfighter! Yes. I had to do it, guys. I had to. I just couldn't resist. So, this movie, my God, man. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I've always known about the movie, right? But I had never actually ever seen The Last Starfighter. I know, it's kind of weird, right? Out of like all the stuff I've ever seen in my life and all of the like 80s nostalgia that I love, I've never gotten a chance to watch The Last Starfighter, and that's on me. I'm ashamed, guys, but I needed to rectify that. And when Arrow announced this, it was something that I knew I had to pick up. I just knew it, man. And yes, it is about this young character, Alex, played by Lance Guest, who has big dreams and wants to get out of this small town. And he plays this video game, Starfighter, and it's just something to pass the time, and he's passionate about it, and he gets the highest score, right? And somebody comes and visits him at night and says, I'm looking for the person who did the highest score. And he's like, well, that happens to be me. Can I help you? And he's like, get in. And it's like suddenly like we're in a whole nother galaxy, and we're in space, and like there's this interstellar war going on, and it's like he's along with a lot of other people, he like has to save the day and defeat the bad guy, and he's like, what the like what the hell is going on here? And he is like so blown away by this, man. And yeah, that's just the journey of this character has to take from zero to hero. And just sort of the wild world of like fighting interstellar bad guys in a video game versus obviously fighting them quote unquote in real life in outer space. And just he has to find the courage to take on the bad guys and win the day, man. And man, man, did I love this movie, dude. Oh my god. This was fun. This movie was seriously, seriously fun, and the cast here is amazing. I mean, you have Lance Guest, which is interesting because this movie is 84. He had did Halloween 2, I believe, in 81. You also have Catherine Mary Stewart, who I believe the same year this came out also came out Night of the Comet as well. She's great here. You also have Dan O'Herlihy, who plays Alex's alien sidekick. And if you guys look him up, this is the same dude that was one of the major board members in RoboCop. I'm serious. I was like, oh my god, it was the eyes. I'm like, wait a minute. God, the eyes are so familiar to me, and I had to look it up. I'm like, oh my god, this guy was like the main board member dude in like RoboCop. Like, really? Oh, okay. Like, it was crazy, man. But everybody did a great job here. I love the sort of tongue in cheek aspect to the movie, right? Because it's kind of half serious with the interstellar war that's going on, but it's also the comedy of this fish out of water in space doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know how to handle himself. The comedy back down on Earth of this sort of quote unquote duplicate of Alex that's trying to pretend to be him, and all the comedy that goes from there. It's it's tongue in cheek, goofy 80s fun, and it works really well, man. Now, the one thing that is kind of, I guess, maybe a bit of a wah wah, but I don't really think so, is the special effects, or I should say the visual effects. Look, this movie was released in 84. Okay, special effects and visual effects, we ain't at Jurassic Park, okay? We're not at realistic, T-Rexes, okay? It's as good as it was gonna be for 84. Okay, man. I mean, when I was watching it, there were moments where, I'm not gonna lie, it did kind of take me out of it. I was like, oh, okay, it looks a little bit chintzy and cheesy, but I had to remember, dude. I had to remember this is the 80s, and they were really going for like Star Wars style special effects, right? But the problem is that you don't have the money that Star Wars has, and unfortunately, you can't quite do Star Wars on the budget that they had. But I appreciated the effort, and I think for the most part, they kind of pull it off, man. I mean, look, this ain't Star Wars, that's for damn sure. But I think it's just as fun. I think it's just as imaginative, and for somebody like me who grew up with arcade games, right? I grew up with the old school going to malls and going to arcades and playing those games. Like, this was just super nostalgic and just really fun for me, man. I loved the hell out of this. I thought it was really, really great time watching this thing, man. And I just think Arrow did a great job with this, man. I truly do. I thought it was really, really fun, man. And you get a lot of great features here, as Arrow usually does, not gonna lie. You get a ton of stuff here. You get a brand new audio commentary with Starland's guest and his son Jackson guest, which is great, man. They have a fun time talking about this movie, man. It's a blast, dude. You get archival audio commentary as well with the director. You also end up getting Maggie's memories, revisiting The Last Starfighter, a new interview with actress Catherine Mary Stewart, and this is great. She has a fun time talking about this movie, man. She really does. About, her career at that point, the 80s, the script, like tons of really great stuff with that. You also end up getting into the Starscape, composing The Last Starfighter, Incredible Oz, writing Last Starfighter, which is a really great one with the screenwriter. A new interview on the special effects, the sci-fi author. You get an interview with the arcade game collector, which is really interesting. Man, talk about a guy that's really into arcade games, man. That's a fascinating one. You also get archival featurettes. You get the archival four-part documentary on the making of The Last Starfighter, and so much more, man. I mean, this thing is jam-packed. And rightfully so, because we need some love for The Last Starfighter, man. Come on, man. I don't know if it's one that people really like go out of their way to talk about. I mean, everybody talks about Star Wars, right? Star Wars. Of course you're going to talk about Star Wars. It's everywhere. But there's a lot of these other, maybe not as well known, but still deserving of being talked about. And The Last Starfighter is one of them. And, there's so many space adventure movies that have come out in the years since, right? The one that I really remember the most is Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr. And I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and I knew it was based on a game and watching it, and there was something cheesy and ridiculous, but yet fun about it. And, I gotta admit, they just don't make them like The Last Starfighter. Watching this movie, they just don't. That or like Wing Commander. I mean, cheesy as this shit is, and it's cheesy. I'll cop to it, man. It is fun. I mean, truly, truly fun. I had a blast with this. This is great, man. I can't believe I've never seen it before. That's my bad, guys. I feel so bad about it, but I'm telling you, this is so good, man. And if you're into nostalgia, video game, space adventure fun, I don't know if it almost gets any better than The Last Starfighter, dude, truly. Well, other than Wing Commander, which, cheesy, but still kind of fun. Maybe not as fun as Last Starfighter, but still, just saying. They can't all be Star Wars, but they can kind of come close, right? The Last Starfighter. And the next pickup that I got, guys, we're heading in Kino Lorber territory, and ooh, a little stalker goodness, dare I say? Yes, play Misty for me. Yes, look at this, man. The scream you hear may be your own. Great, with this great slip here. And on the inside, the theatrical artwork as well. Very nice, man. Let's dive in to a little stalker goodness. And my God, man. Okay, so look. If you guys have never heard of Play Misty for me, I guess I can't quite blame you. Because number one, this is early Clint Eastwood. And it's a movie that has been drowned out by other films essentially within the same genre. And so a lot of these old school films from back in the day, even ones like this from the late 70s, still almost feel sort of forgotten in a lot of ways. Like people don't remember the ones that came before it, right? And I've always talked about, yes, we can look at the stuff that comes out nowadays or 10 years ago, but, if you are a fan of cinema, there is so many movies that you can go back and say, this is where it all started in one way or another. And Play Misty for me is one of these type of movies. Now, this movie is about a DJ, radio DJ, played by Clint Eastwood. And he has this really big super fan, loves him so much, to the point of basically obsession. And she wants him. And if she can't have him, nobody can. So she's out for blood. All right. Now, first off, this is Clint Eastwood's very first directorial debut. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't a Western. It was a stalker revenge thriller. Yes, Play Misty for me was the very first one that Clint Eastwood ever directed. And of course, now we know Clint Eastwood is such a big Academy Award-winning director and has done so much really wonderful work, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well. This is where it all started as far as directing is concerned. So this is quite unique just for that alone. But then you have Jessica Walter in this, who plays the main chick that is stalking and ready to kill Clint Eastwood's ass. She is great here. And if you don't immediately recognize her, well, you should, guys, because she played the mother in the Arrested Development series. She was awesome there. She was in The Flamingo Kid. She was in a really great college comedy that I love, that doesn't nearly get enough love as it should, and that is PCU. She played the Chancellor, and the very uptight, strict Chancellor, and she was so good in that. I'm like, oh my god, I totally forgot that she was in this movie. Does such a really great job, and she is literally a psycho bitch. I mean, truly, she is psychotic, man. And you're just like, oh my god, you just realize that this chick is just out of her mind, nuts. And Clint Eastwood just can't get away from her. Just can't do it, man. I mean, she can be nice 1 second, and then the next minute, bam, she is like ready to attack like a dog. I mean, man, she does a great job here, as does Clint, and I love the tension, and I just think the suspense is really great in this movie. And as I said, it's a movie that practically almost invented a genre in some ways, to a small extent, because you look at movies like Fatal Attraction, which Fatal Attraction is an amazing movie. It's an amazing film, and Glenn Close is scary as hell in that film. Amazing film. And then you look at other ones like Swim Fan, that's more recent, and a lot of other ones like that, and a lot of people credit Fatal Attraction. But I guarantee you, Fatal Attraction would not exist without Play Misty for me. I guarantee you it would not exist without this film, man. And this film laid the ground and the foundation for the great sort of, I'm in love with this man, female stalker, crazy persona person that we got to deal with. And this is one of the movies that really started it all for that, man. And it is movies like Fatal Attraction, a lot of those thrillers from the 90s that owe a huge debt of gratitude to Play Misty for me, man. It is amazing, and it's wonderful, and it's just really wild to see the first directorial debut of Clint Eastwood in this movie, and just how much we don't really appreciate the younger work of Eastwood. Like, we look at $1 Million Baby, and we look at, Letters from Iwo Jima, and Flags of Our Fathers, and, all these really great ones that he did, Dirty Harry and all that stuff, which is great. They deserve all the love possible, but go back and check out some of the very early work, some of the lesser appreciated Eastwood. And I think you'll come away saying, man, yes, the popular ones deserve love, but the lesser ones, man, they get kind of passed by. And I think that's a shame, dude, especially with this movie, man. Play Misty for me is amazing. And as I said, we go out of our way to give a lot of love to the Fatal Attractions of the world and movies like that, Single White Female, and a lot of other ones that really we remember. But again, we have to remember the movies that came even before those that really set the stage for those movies to really shine. And Play Misty for me is definitely one of the best ones. Truly is awesome, man. And it's cool to see young Clint Eastwood, too. And Clint Eastwood being a radio DJ? I've seen weirder things. But Kino Lorber does a great job with their releases, man. You get audio commentary here by a film historian, and he really talks about the time period at this point, Eastwood's career, why he wanted to get into the filmmaking aspects, so much stuff. Very interesting there. An interview with one of the co-stars, a video essay from a film historian, a look back at Play Misty for me, the documentary, an old school featurette, TV spot, theatrical trailer, still gallery, and much, much more. Boy, oh boy, man, I gotta tell you, I love movies that have crazy chicks in it. Even a movie like Audition, like an old school Japanese one with directed by Takashi Miike, man, what an awesome film, dude. And I'm like, boy, crazy chick in that. I tend to like movies with crazy chicks. I'm glad I don't date crazy chicks. Like, I'm so glad my girlfriend is actually normal. and kind of boring, because I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, man. I would rather have that than crazy, psychotic, lunatic bitches, man. Damn. Damn, come on, man. Stay away from me. Go someplace else. I got enough troubles. But if you love Clint Eastwood and some great sort of psychotic female revenge thrillers, damn, give Play Misty for me a look, dude, because it is quite genuine and definitely deserves a hell of a lot more love than it gets. Play Misty for me. And the next pickup that I got, guys, wow, I'm so shocked that this ever got a special edition release, guys, but man, it had been a long time since I've seen this thing. Whew. And that is Street Fighter. Oh my god, Street Fighter? Really? Yeah, Street Fighter from 88 films. And look at that, man. Jean-Claude Van Damme video game goodness? We'll get there, guys. And this is also a limited edition release. Out of 3,000, I got 1,199. Yes. Wow. Couldn't quite get 2,000. Couldn't quite get 1,000. Couldn't quite get number one. But hey, I'll take 1,199. Sounds about right. Yeah, so the great slip right here. And the same artwork on the inside as well, guys. And with this release, you also end up getting the theatrical poster that is pretty much this artwork here. And you also get some, like, lobby cards, man, which is kind of really cool here. You get some cool stuff here, some cool, like, character images and whatnot from the movie. Pretty cool stuff, actually. Now, let's get into Street Fighter, shall we? Oh my god. So, this movie came out in 1994. Okay. And it's interesting because if you look at Van Damme at that time, this was really actually the height of Van Damme-ness, right? This was like the height of it. I mean, you had, obviously Kickboxer that had come out, and you had a lot of really great movies that he had done. And he was sort of the action guy. People loved him. Of course, after this movie, it kind of started going a little downhill. I mean, let's just be real here. A few years later, we get Double Team with Dennis Rodman. So, yeah, bubble burst kind of fast. Okay? Yeah, it was... So, yes, but obviously, with getting a major star like a Jean-Claude Van Damme, you're going to get this movie made. And Street Fighter was such a huge video game property at this point, man. I mean, used to own Street Fighter video games, man. Back in the day for the old school video game systems, I used to own it, and I used to love playing that stuff, man. It was some of the best, and it was like like, oh cool, they're making a movie and it's live action and all the cool characters are splashed onto the screen live, and like just list all the people you know, and they're just on the big screen, larger than life, and damn. The movie's not terrible, okay? I hadn't watched it in a long time, man. And when I originally watched it, all those years ago, I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed. Okay, I was massively disappointed. I was like, what the fuck am I just, what the fuck is this, man? What the hell I just watched? I just was so disappointed, man, because I had something in my head that was so not this movie. So not. And I was like, oh. Ugh. And I think for me as a kid, it was my like first real like major disappointment in like my imagination to what I saw on screen, right? I mean, it really was. And so I just sort of forgot about it in my head. I never really returned to it. I always kind of remembered it as far as video game movies go, but I never really ever revisited it until 88 Films said, oh, hey, you know what? We're going to put out a limited edition release of Street Fighter. And I'm like, wow, out of anything, Street Fighter? So I was like, you know what? Fine, I'm going to give it a look. I'm going to order it. I could totally regret this motherfucker, but fine, I'll do it. And I gotta admit, guys, rewatching it in hindsight now, it's not as bad. It's not, okay? It's not so bad, all things considered. I mean, is it still cheesy as shit? Is it sometimes really bad acting? Yes. But there's something fun about the cheesiness of it and the ridiculousness and just how they're just literally throwing everything in the kitchen sink into this movie, man. Anything that they can stuff in from the video games, they just pile it on here, man. I mean, even if they don't even fit into the plot of the movie, they're just there, right? So that you could go, oh, him, oh no, Blanca, like you're like, and Blanca gets so little screen time. Like, what the fuck? So, oh man, it just like they just shove everything in there, man. And uh, look, the action is pretty good. I like Van Damme here. Van Damme is cheesy, and he's playing it so over the top, man. But then again, it's a movie based out of a cheesy fighting video game. I mean, what were you gonna expect, dude? I mean, but he got a good chunk of a paycheck for this movie, so didn't matter whether he was overacting or not. He got his money, dude. And I think as someone who has experienced a lot of video game movies, okay, and I've experienced a shit ton of them, guys. I think I look back on Street Fighter with a little bit of nostalgia more than I might have, if this was my first time watching it, or after I had watched it the first time when I was a kid. I don't know if I would have ever said that, but now it being like 15 or 20ish years since I've watched this thing, probably more. I can look back on it now with a little bit different of experience, and I kind of like what I see. I just think it's a very stylized, ridiculous world. All these characters interconnected, but there's something just kind of like, I don't know. It kind of feels like I kind of appreciated what they were trying to do with this movie, even though they may have completely failed at times. I like some of the characterizations. I like the overtop quality of the movie. And I gotta say, man, there are certain things here that still really do hold up. And I think one of them is Bison. Honestly, I think I think what Raul Julia did as M. Bison in this movie, I thought he was so awesome as the villain. Calm, collected, crazy when he needs to be to get his point across, badass. But, you know, he's definitely a villain who's very calculating. And I really love that, dude. And I thought Raul Julia did an amazing job. And it's a real shame about Raul Julia because at this point in his career, he was battling stomach cancer. He had gotten really terrible food poisoning, had to undergo a lot of surgery. And there's a really great thing where they cast Raul Julia. And about 4 or 5 months later, when he arrived on set, he was such skin and bones. Literally, he was so skinny and emaciated that the bodysuit that they had made for him for his costume, they had to pad it even more so that he didn't look like a hospital victim. Like literally, he looked practically dead. And give that man so much fucking credit, dude. He acted his ass off. And honestly, it worked really well. He did a great job here. I think most of the actors do. I mean, look, they know what they're in. Okay? Yes, they're trying their hardest and the action is cool, but they know what this is, dude. Okay, they know, man. They're not pretending, okay? They know. And look, I gotta give this movie credit. Looking back on it, I hated it at the time, but seeing so many more video game movies since then, and having now hindsight of 2020 and being a more sophisticated, more sophisticated movie lover, I was able to go into this with a little bit more of an open mind, I think. And I enjoyed it. I kind of let my brain go a little bit, and I enjoyed it, man. And 88 Films, dude, gave it a lot of love, man. I mean, you've got an audio commentary here with the game historian and game producer and a game analyst. Like, they really talk about every aspect of this versus the video game, different aspects to the video game and versions, and what this movie took from some of them. Very fascinating stuff, dude. You also have Making Street Fighter, a new interview with the writer director. You have new interviews with some of the actors, the deleted scenes and TV spots, and you name it, man. So much great stuff here. And it's actually really fascinating because the director goes out of his way to say, look, we had a great idea for this movie. And over half of our budget was taken up through casting Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia, and they got a chunk of the paycheck. So we didn't have a lot of money. We had to reshoot scenes constantly. The governments of these countries weren't working with us. We had so many fucking problems, dude. And I am so fascinated by that shit. And it's amazing the troubles that this movie had, and yet it still exists to this day, dude. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I look at video game movies, okay, whether you're talking about Mortal Kombat, which is one of the good ones, Resident Evil, which I really love. Again, I'll say something like Wing Commander, Max Payne, Double Dragon, House of the Dead. Oh my god, we're getting worse, guys. There isn't many great video game based movies, is there? There really isn't, man. Oh god. Oh, it's really embarrassing. And I can't say that this movie is even the best among the bunch, but I think it's fun. And as somebody who's an old school fan of the old school Street Fighter game, this kind of warms my heart a little bit, man, for the old days. It does. Cheesy, ridiculous, but somehow I liked it. I did. Reevaluating was good. And this is like the only Jean-Claude Van Damme movie I have in the collection, so I gotta have some Van Damme love too. Why not? Oh, God, I miss those old days of Street Fighter. Do you? I bet. Street Fighter. And the next pickup that I got, guys, we are going towards Blue Underground and another Fulci for the collection, and that is Manhattan, baby. Yes, look at this, man. I love that ghostly demonic entity right there on the cover. Very nice, man. And the 3-disc limited edition as well. And also, crazy enough, I didn't use the artwork on the backside, but I didn't even know that this movie was also called Eye of the Evil Dead. Really? I had no idea about that, man. Eye of the Evil Dead. That's kind of interesting. It kind of is fascinating because I know there's different names for different movies depending on the region. And I can just imagine they're thinking, oh, well, Evil Dead is popular. Eye of the Evil Dead? Whatever. If it's going to sell copies, you know they like to do stuff, guys. But yes, more Fulci goodness for the collection, man. And this one had been on my radar for a while. I knew Blue Underground had released this title. I knew that this edition had been out there. And it was just one that I kept on pushing to the side more and more and more. And eventually, I had gotten all the Fulci that I could find at the moment. So I had to go back and get Manhattan Baby. Now, this movie is about this family that's on vacation in Egypt, and they find this sort of Egyptian medallion, and they take it with them. And suddenly, when they're back home in Manhattan, there's a curse on their heads. The little girl is being possessed by this evil Egyptian ghostly entity, and it's just them trying to figure out what is going on and trying to get rid of this curse. And that's pretty much what the basis of the movie is. Now, I am, or I should say, I've become a Fulci lover over the years, man. And as you guys know, if you've been watching the pickup videos as long as you have, that I am on a journey to get as much Fulci in the collection as humanly possible. I'd like to get it all. That's a tall order, but I'm trying, guys. And I've picked up a lot of Fulci over my adventure so far, man. And it's interesting with Manhattan Baby because if you look at this as his career path, right? Before Manhattan Baby, he was doing some really wild projects, man. Some of the most memorable stuff in Fulci's catalog. Zombie, House by the Cemetery, The New York Ripper, a whole ton of stuff, a whole string of memorable Fulci that we know and love to this day. And I think Manhattan Baby sort of marks a point in his directorial career from this point on where he's not as far as I think what most Fulci lovers would say is his best work. It's not really. He's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, and maybe not as creative or as inventive as some of his earlier work. And I got to admit, I have never, and I truly mean this, I have never encountered a Fulci movie that I did not like. I've liked every single Fulci movie that I've come across. Some a little more than others, but I've liked them. This one I do enjoy. I do like the movie. The unfortunate thing is I don't really love this movie. Sometimes this movie was very confusing at times. The plot, not like most of the plots in Fulci's filmography make a hell of a lot of sense, but it's it's a little scatterbrained. It's a little all over the place. I don't think the story is as effective. I don't think the horror is as effective as some of the other stuff, like A City of the Living Dead or House by the Cemetery. It doesn't pack a punch as you normally would want it to. I like the idea of an Egyptian entity that is haunting this family and possessing this little girl. I like that. It's a good storyline. But I don't know if it was really as effective as it could have been. But look, without like me saying it's the best movie I've seen of Fulci's or even close, I still gotta say Fulci is an effective director, man. I mean, the imagery here is beautiful and it's haunting and it's classic Fulci. You could tell that he tries to do these very almost dreamlike images and almost makes the film almost like like a waking nightmare, which I really appreciated, man. I mean, look, I got to admit that I appreciated Fulci's approach when it came to this movie because, any regular filmmaker, right? Any regular horror filmmaker would have had a big, huge Egyptian mummy or some shit like that fucking comes out at the end and, they have to battle it or some shit. Like that would have been the standard ridiculous thing. Fulci doesn't do that. It's more of in your mind. It's more of the stuff that you don't see, and it's basically the psychological stuff of how it's affecting you and affecting this family. I appreciate Fulci as a filmmaker. And I think that's where I come down. Even movies that I don't truly appreciate, like Manhattan Baby, I gotta say, I love Fulci's style. And that's what keeps me going with Fulci because he was unlike any director you've ever seen, man. Even the movies that you would consider lesser than as far as quality, you still have to appreciate the fact that this guy never did anything conventional. For the most part, he never did anything conventional. He was always somebody who pushed the limits of Italian cinema, Italian horror, the imagery, and he was always trying to sort of outdo himself in a lot of ways. And I think this movie is pretty good at doing that. Like I said, the plot is kind of confusing. The acting is a little all over the place. It's not my favorite Fulci of all time. It's kind of, if I had to say it, as far as like Fulci movies is concerned, it's probably on the low end. I appreciate every single Fulci film. I truly do at the end of the day because I think he's a phenomenal and very unique filmmaker within the horror genre, past and present. But if you look at this film going forward in his filmography, whether we're talking about this movie or Conquest or Zombie 3, The Devil's Honey. I mean, those are movies that I truly enjoy. I like. I think they're really good movies, but the output of quality from pre Manhattan Baby to post Manhattan Baby, you can definitely see a divide. And what I will say is this: if you like Fulci, if you love Fulci, if you've dived into Fulci's filmography as a whole, if you dived into the more popular Fulci films and you haven't found the more lesser known ones, I would say going with checked expectations, especially movies like Manhattan Baby, which doesn't really feel up to the standard of Fulci, but I still appreciate it for what he was trying to do and the imagery and just I truly believe that Fulci is an auteur. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. He is somebody who has a vision and he tries to accomplish that vision no matter what. Whether you like it or not, you have to appreciate the man and what he truly goes for and what he truly tries. And I at least have to do that. Lesser known Fulci, I think, can still be great, but it has its faults at times. And Manhattan Baby is one of them. I have to admit that, man. I mean, you do get here an interview with the composer, which is an hour long, really talking about the collaborations between him and Fulci. You get an interview with one of the stars. You get an interview with the makeup effects co-writer. The author of Beyond Terror, the films of Lucio Fulci, is really great. He dives into basically this movie, Fulci's intentions, how this is not as good of a movie as some of the other Fulci films. He goes into a lot of deep dives. You also get a live studio performance by Fabio Frizzi, who is a composer. You get theatrical trailers, still galleries, and of course the original motion picture soundtrack and new writings on the movie as well. Look, I am a die-hard fan of Fulci. I remain to this day a die-hard fan of Fulci. And even lesser Fulci, I'm still going to appreciate, guys. Maybe less so, but I'm still going to appreciate it. And look, I think all of you guys can agree with me that we all have filmmakers that we know and we love. And not every filmmaker's filmography is going to have a gem every single time. I don't care whether we're talking about Steven Spielberg, Ridley Scott, uh, uh, Coppola, Clint Eastwood, Carpenter, Wes Craven, you name it. Not everyone's going to be perfect, guys. That's just the honest to God truth. But what I will say, though, is that I do feel like Fulci is very unique among the bunch. And I think that even lesser known Fulci and even lesser quality Fulci still has a lot of redeeming values. And I do think Manhattan Baby does, but compared to other Fulci films, not as much. Still very much worth it as a Fulci lover, and glad to have it for more Fulci love in the collection. Not half bad, guys. If you love Fulci, give it a look. It's worth it, I say. Manhattan Baby. And the next pickup that I got, guys, actually the next two pickups that I got are from Retro Media that I picked up through eBay. And they are both old school Fred Olen Ray movies. Oh boy, the hilarity with this one, guys. And that is none other than the Blu-ray of Evil Spawn. Yes, look at that, man. What a really great cover, by the way, man. Insect monster, beautiful looking babe covering her boobs, and an old man. Okay, well, I guess something for everybody, right? Yes, indeed. I had never seen Evil Spawn, okay? But I was curious to check it out, man, because I like Fred Olen Ray. I think he's a decent filmmaker. I mean, I personally love Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I don't know if anybody else does, but I'm a fan of it. And so, I figure, why the hell not, man? I'll pick this up. And basically, it's about this actress who her looks are really declining. She's not getting a lot of great roles anymore. People are not really looking at her the same way when she was younger. And there's this doctor that said, I can give you this to enhance your beauty, to make you beautiful again. And she takes it. However, the side effects, kind of weirdly, actually, no one ever tells you what the true side effects of some shit are, man. And this guy seems to forget the one big one that turns her into some weird insect monster. That seems like a pretty big thing to forget to tell somebody. Okay? I'm just saying, man, I see all these commercials that said, well, it could give you heartburn or a stroke, your penis could fall off, whatever. But turning into a, raging insect monster, that seems to be the one thing that got left out of the conversation, huh? Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay. And, yeah, so, she starts, wanting blood and she gets her beauty back, but, the whole, wanting blood and killing people, that's a turn off, man. It's a major turn off. Oh, man. You know what? I gotta admit, this is back in the heyday of straight-to-video mania. And it really is true, man. If you look back at that time period of straight-to-video, right? If you look back at that old-school time period, it is fascinating, right? Because literally there was so much content that was coming out in a matter of months. There was so much straight to video movies and these specials, and it's and everything was just a conversion. So you would go to your local Blockbuster or video rental store, and there would be massive amounts of titles that were new every single week, man. It was a bonanza. And add Evil Spawn to the mix, man. I gotta admit, dude, I watched this movie and I didn't really know exactly what to expect, but I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I really did. I thought it was fun, cheesy as all hell. I'll be honest, man. But there's something fun and kind of quirky about it, and kind of old school for the old days, that I kind of really enjoyed, man. I like the acting here, especially the actress Bobby Brezzi, who plays the older woman who is concerned about her looks now and everything. And I'm sorry, okay? I'm I'm gonna give her a great comment here. Like, and hopefully she'll take it as a comment. Like, you might have been old while making this movie, but my God, honey, you are not like unattractive. I'm just saying, like there is like it was kind of funny because she's looking at herself in the mirror and she's like, "Oh, I'm getting old," and I'm just like, "Honey, have you? I'll come over and I'll compliment you every single goddamn minute. Like you are gorgeous. I mean, if the other guys won't sleep with you, I will. Holy shit, man! These guys are like ignoring her and everything. She's this age, and like, well, we get the younger hot chick, and I'm like, sometimes the younger hot chick ain't exactly the best thing to get. Sometimes you need a little cougar in your life. You know what I'm saying? All about that cougar life. I'm like, honey, you ain't the bad looking. I mean, I don't know what you're wanting to take this pill for, but okay. And I just like the cheesiness of it, of wanting your looks back, but the cost of that and what it will do to you. It kind of reminded me in some way of that movie Death Becomes Her with Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis. I mean, a much different movie of like a magic potion and whatnot like that, but still the same idea of getting older and wanting to keep your looks and everything. It's still a very interesting idea that I like that they did here. Now I will admit, man, some of the monster effects are a little cheesy, man. They're a lot of cheesy, dude. I mean, I honestly did really like the concept and the design of the insect monster. Look, this is the old days of practical effects, and yes, it's cheesy and ridiculous looking, but at the end of the day, I kind of like that though. I mean, if this movie was made today, it would be like really crappy CGI that you'd see on the fucking Sci-Fi Channel or some shit, okay? It probably would be, but to be honest with you, this was pretty damn good, man. I'm not gonna lie. For the time period and what they were trying to accomplish, I enjoyed it, and I love the gore and blood, and there is a lot, man. I mean, literally tearing through flesh and ripping stuff out and biting into people, like it's really cool, man. I mean, they definitely go for it in a big bad way, man. I enjoyed this one. I did, and even honestly, a like one of the last performances by John Carradine is in here. Yeah, that old guy is John Carradine, and I was watching this and I'm like, oh wow, I forgot that he was still alive in this time period. And John Carradine is such a really great actor, even in this movie, where like he's clearly like it's hard for him to remember his lines, and you could tell that he's having difficulties. It's still John Carradine, man, and you're like, dude, like the fact that they got him for this. I mean, he probably needed the money, to be fair, but the fact that they got him is really cool, man, for that one small role, which is awesome. I enjoyed it. It's cheesy, it's ridiculous. The special effects are kind of chintzy. The acting can be a little over the top, but there's something fun about it, man. And I thought it was a pretty unique and little fun and sort of cheesy movie that I think in a lot of ways was never trying to be anything other than what it was. Right, guys? Because at the end of the day, sometimes movies that take themselves seriously end up turning out really terrible. I give Fred Olen Ray a lot of credit because he knows what he's making. He's not trying to pretend that this is, fucking Gone with the Wind or Gandhi or the Titanic or some shit. He knows it. He knows what he's making. And I think he's very tongue-in-cheek and makes fun of himself and makes fun of the movie within the movie. I like that idea. And I think that this is a fun one within his catalog. Honestly, it is. It kind of reminds me in some ways of like Evil Toons, which I also really, really love of his. So this is good, man. A little sort of evil insectoid monster beauty goodness, whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. But I think he pulls it off really well, man. And let me tell you, man, that chick, I tell you, those guys, they missing out, brother. I'll take advantage of that shit. That's for damn sure, man. Call me. Oh, great flick, man. And looks pretty good on Blu-ray too, with an audio commentary from Fred Olin Ray, original trailer, making of, John Carradine outtake reel, and a bonus second creature feature, The Alien Within, which is kind of cheesy as well. Not nearly as good as Evil Spawn, but hey, you know, it's an extra added bonus feature. Not half bad, guys. Definitely give this a look, man. Cheesy as all get out, but pretty damn fun. Evil Spawn. And the next title that I picked up, guys, in fact, the second of the Retro Media Hall, and more Fred Olin Ray love, and that is none other than Dinosaur Island. Oh, look at that. Nice, very busty lady with some weird dinosaurs. Just like Paradise, only better looking. Well, at least I got the better looking part right. Oh man, yes, Fred Olin Ray is coming together with Jim Wynorski, who directed Chopping Mall, and Roger Corman for Dinosaur Island. Oh man, I didn't know whether I wanted to pick this up or not, guys. I know I wanted Evil Spawn, and I was thinking, okay, let me try Dinosaur Island 2. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe. Let's get into it, guys. Basically, this movie is about these soldiers that crash land on this island, and they don't know where they are, they don't know what's going on, and suddenly there's a society of all women, like savage women, who apparently are all incredibly good looking. They are all incredibly busty, and you know, are just like almost like basically like porno models, are like jeez, there's not a single, you know, less than average chick among the bunch. Now that is good genes. let me tell you, man. And on top of the hot chicks, there's also dinosaurs that are on this island as well that they worship and they are scared of at the same time and sacrifice to the dinosaur gods. And it's sort of, you know, the soldiers who are interacting with the female society and helping them stop the dinosaurs and all the crazy sex and hilarity that you can get. Oh my god. I wanted to like this, man. And I like some really, really weird shit, guys. And when I say weird, I'm talking weird. I got some weird shit in the collection. Okay, man. Ooh, this thing, man. You know, it's interesting because I was talking about with Evil Spawn, right? I was talking about the whole, like, straight to video craze, right? And how movies were just getting released like constantly all the time. However, you know what else was getting released all the time in the heyday? Was a lot, and I mean a lot, of softcore porn, man. Like, it was literally everywhere, okay? And if you turn on Cinemax nowadays, starting around 10:30, 11, maybe around there, boy, you are in for some Skinemax love, man. There's just all over the place, man, in your face. And Dinosaur Island is another one of those. I mean, this is not. I mean, you know, Evil Spawn had boobs and some nakedness, but it felt like a movie. Okay, it actually felt like a movie, like there was a plot at least, there was some sort of coherence to it. Dinosaur Island has none of that, man. I mean, literally, it's just a hodgepodge of ideas, and it's a hodgepodge of scenarios to get you to the next naked scene and the next sex romp is what it is, and that's what you're getting. Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna deny the women are gorgeous. They're beautiful looking. I mean, they are stunning to look at, and they're naked like 95% of the fucking time. So I mean, boy can dream, and he got the dreams. I mean, there's good things in here, but again, I could literally watch so many movies in my collection. I could literally, just have a subscription to Cinemax and see all the tits and ass I can get. What makes this movie better than your average just tits and ass Skinemax thing, right? Well, not really much. I mean, even the special effects here are so terrible. I mean, I was talking about how the special effects were cheesy in this, and they are, but with this, the special effects are just really, I mean, they are downright absolutely terrible. I mean, it felt like they didn't even try in this movie, man. I mean, they kind of felt like, oh, let's kind of do a little like behind some sort of green screen thing and sort of plop it in, and I guess it'll kind of work, right? I mean, people are not really paying attention to the dinosaurs; they're paying attention to the fucking busty tits. And maybe it's bad on me, right? Maybe it's bad on me. Maybe I'm not really a good movie lover when I'm paying more attention to the dinosaurs than I am the tits. Okay, maybe I failed, you guys. Maybe I did, but I was like, man, those effects are terrible. And like right in the background, there's like 10 chicks that are like their boobs are all exposed, and I'm just like, those dinosaur effects so terrible. I was like, oh my god, man. Yeah, I thought the acting was way over the top, and it's all just kind of like goofy sort of banter. You have the goofy nerd guy, you have the guy who thinks he's sort of the suave lover boy, you have the chicks who are like clueless. What is sex? I don't understand. Nakedness? What do you mean, like you get on top of me? I don't understand. What is it? Are you a god? Oh, what? What? Ah, I'm like, can we get some semblance of a fucking plot here, man? Oh Lord, it was just. I think the main problem I had with this movie, guys, if I'm gonna be honest with you, is that it was a bore. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, for a movie that has so much tits and ass and hot chicks riding guys, I have never been more bored in my life. I'm serious. Like I was like, this. Like I'm starting to fall asleep, and I would have, if you would have told me 20, 25 years ago, if you would have told me, Seth, you are gonna watch a movie that has naked chicks constantly, cool design dinosaurs, and all the goofy military guys have to have all the sex with them as possible. I would be like, this is so awesome. And nowadays I'd be like, really, bro, I've seen it all, man. I've seen it all. What the fuck, dude? And so I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen way better, bro. I have. And this movie just felt like they weren't even trying. I mean, I don't mind good tits and ass, but you gotta have something worthy of a plot. You gotta have some sort of decent acting here. People have to give a shit. I mean, it's almost like they said, well, no one's really gonna care as long as boobs are flashed in their face. And I'm like, you know what? I can watch as many boobs as I want at any single time watching a lot of stuff in my collection. I got enough of it, okay? But again, that doesn't mean that it's a good story. It just means that there's tits and ass in your face. And sometimes, what good does that really do? I know, I'm talking crazy, guys, but honestly, this movie, just from the terrible, goofy, over the top, nonsensical acting to the terrible effects work with the dinosaurs. It didn't even look like they were trying, to the women that literally have no personalities. They're there to literally be fuck machines. It's there's just nothing. I hate to say it. I mean, the boobs are kind of a redeeming value, but again, like, there's so much fake silicone that is on the screen. I feel like you could make like 10,000 pillows out of it. Like, it's like, oh, god damn, man. I mean, you get here an original trailer, deleted stop motion scenes, which the stop motion scenes, I mean, the effects here are terrible anyways. I wonder how the deleted ones were. New commentary track with Fred Olin Ray, Jim Wynorski, and hell, it's even signed by them too, man. I mean, look, I like a good tits and ass stuff, man. I mean, you have no idea. I've watched some doozies of like softcore porn movies, man. I've watched like a Lord of the Rings sex parody called Lord of the G-Strings. Okay, that was more fun than this. I watched a Spider-Man softcore sex movie on Skinamax called Spider Babe. There's literally a scene where you know that scene in Spider-Man where Tobey Maguire is fighting Macho Man Randy Savage in the ring for like, cash prize or something. There's literally a scene where Spider Babe is fighting another chick in a ring amongst all crowd of people, right? And instead of wrestling, they're literally having sex in the middle of the ring while spectators watch. Nobody's batting an eye. The kids sure don't seem to mind it. Guess I didn't either, but I mean, I've seen some doozies, man. I've seen some doozies. And I thought maybe it would be some wild fun with Dinosaur Island, but damn, man, no, it wasn't, dude. You can splash all the sex on the screen that you want, but if you don't have a story or characters that I can effectually care for and kind of have a good time with, then it kind of all falls flat to me, and this did. And it's so weird to say that, dude. God, my sort of like my adolescent self is literally crying on the inside. Oh man, but I gotta be honest with you, gotta be real. Damn, this disappointed me, dude. So disappointed me big time. Dinosaur Island. Terrible softcore porn. And my 15-year-old self is literally wondering why I betrayed him. I didn't betray you, I swear. We've seen better. Give it a look if you like softcore porn, I guess. Dinosaur Island. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a release from Eureka Entertainment overseas, and a wonderful little horror gem at that. And it is 976 Evil. Oh, look at that cover, man. That is a great slip with that artwork, man. Woo! That's nice, man. And on the inside, the theatrical artwork as well. So damn good, man. Always love that, man. Oh, a little 976 Evil goodness. Now, I have actually a long time ago talked about 976 Evil in the pickup videos previously, because I did at one point pick up the Sony release of 976 Evil when that got released here in the States, with that really great slip there, man. So good, dude. And I love sort of the fake sort of wear on the slip and everything. So good, man. Now, why exactly get another edition of 976 Evil if I already have one anyways? And I don't know, man. I just was really loving this artwork and some of the special features, and it was just kind of calling me. It wanted to come to me. I was like, okay, your wish is my command. So I did, man. Now, this movie is about Hoax, which is kind of, he's this nerd loser, and other people are much more popular. He's getting picked on by people, beat up, and he he has this sort of phone line that he ends up, getting advice from, and it sort of is almost like this demonic entity that is slowly getting inside of him the more advice he takes. And it's sort of his fight to keep those urges at bay and the demonic entity to not take over, and sort of the struggle that he has with that. It's an amazing movie, man. It really is. And you know, I just really love it because it's at the height of those like phone, lines, the whole back in the day of like, well, if you want advice or anything, call 1-800 da da da, and you'll get charged a dollar a minute. It was the whole height of that, man, and I like the idea of taking that idea and spinning it almost in a sort of great hellish demonic twist. I thought it was really nice here. I love Stephen Jeffries as well. I mean, he was awesome in Fright Night. He's awesome here. And dude, the movie's directed by Robert Mother and Englund, dude. It's directed by Robert Englund. And dude, Robert Englund is awesome as a director. I mean, actually, I believe this is his only actual directorial movie I believe he ever truly did, if I'm not mistaken. I think he just wanted to try it and see how it was, see the other side of the coin. And I thought he did a really fantastic job here. He really did. Getting the great performances, getting the great horror atmosphere, and I really liked the colors and the cinematography, and I thought Englund did a great job here, man. And I wish he would have done more directing, because I think he was actually really good at it. I really do, man. It's got a lot going for it, this movie. I won't say too much about it, because if you go back in previous pickup videos a long time back, you will hear my thoughts, all my thoughts on 976 Evil when I showed off this release. But this is a really great solid release from Eureka Entertainment, man. And you get a lot of great stuff here. You get new interviews with special makeup effects artist Howard Berger. You also get a new interview with special effects technician Kevin Yeager. And Kevin Yeager actually is really great here because he talks about how he had another project that he was going to do, right? He had another thing that he was actually going to get into. And Robert Englund says, "Hey, I'm working on this. Can you come and do this for me?" And he said yes, because it was Robert Englund. He had worked with him on other Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And he was like, yeah, of course I was going to work with him. So he is very dedicated to that, and he really had a great relationship with Robert Englund. He talks about how, when you're in a makeup chair and you're doing makeup on somebody, you get to know a lot about them, their likes and their dislikes, and who they are as a human being, and you get to spend a lot of time with them. And he really created a great close-knit relationship with Robert Englund because of that. I love that, him talking about the tricks of the trade with some of the special effects in the movie, whether it's sort of the fingernails or some of the makeup toward the end of the movie when Stephen Jeffries is made up and looks very demonic. He talks about all that stuff. Really fascinating stuff there, man. You do get the audio commentary as well from Robert Englund, but it's the same audio commentary that you get with this release as well, so it's not any different of a commentary. And you also end up getting the still galleries, the rare FX stills, and a limited edition booklet as well on the inside here too. Great artwork also. Oh man, they just don't quite make them like 976 Evil anymore, do they? They really don't. I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, I'm not saying that 976 Evil is like the best horror movie of all time, because it's not. But I think for the expectations for me of like, wow, a movie directed by Robert Englund, starring Stephen Jeffries, great makeup effects. I like sort of the teen sort of storyline drama that causes him to turn demonic. I think it's a nice little gem that I think if you watched it back in the day, there's a lot of nostalgia. And I think if you were to watch it now, I think you'd still have a lot of enjoyment with it, man. I mean, if you can get the US release, definitely do it. But if you can't find that anymore, Eureka Entertainment does have it. And if you have a region free player, might be time to pick up a little 976 Evil Goodness. You know what I'm saying? Come on, it's Robert Englund. He's awesome. Anything with Robert Englund, even the stuff he directs. Give it a chance, goddammit. So good. 976 Evil. It's for you. Love it so much. Definitely give it a look. 976 Evil. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is some collector edition love from Scream Factory, and that is none other than Ghost Ship. Yes! The great, great artwork on the slip, man. I really love that. That's nice art, man. Come join us. Come die with us. So good, man. And the theatrical art on the inside as well. I always love the skull on the ship there. Very nice. Now, I have not seen this movie in a really, really long time. And now, I actually watched this movie when it came out in theaters years back. And it's actually kind of interesting how time sort of changes everything, right? Because I remember when this movie came out and people really did not like this movie, man. They thought it was a pretty terrible and tame horror flick for the time that it came out. And when Scream Factory announced this, I heard so many people of like, oh, Ghost Ship, oh my god, I love Ghost Ship, it's awesome, oh my god. And I'm like thinking, that was so not the reactions that I saw when this thing came out, man. I mean, people were really hating on it hardcore, but honestly, it just goes to show you that something that might be hated years ago, with time and a lot of other movie experiences that have happened since then and a lot of the genre changing, that you kind of go back and you feel nostalgic for even something in the early 2000s. It's so odd, man, but it really is true, dude. But this movie was mainly remembered for two things. One, it was remembered for the opening sequence, which, by the way, the opening sequence is still awesome to this day, guys. Where it's a flashback and the little girl is on the ship and like that like wire like it literally like cuts people in half, or like they're like half their face, and it's like like blood is like a head coming off. And it's like that is a great opening sequence. Love that opening sequence, man. One of the best, dare I say. And then the second thing that it's known for is the ending of the movie with that Mudvayne song, where like she's in the ambulance and like the crates are going back up, and suddenly that Mudvayne song is like, ah, and it's like people remember those two things, man. And then there's the rest of the movie in between, but you know, it's those two things. But man, I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I figured why not? And I actually never even thought this movie was ever going to get a collector's edition release. But you know, Scream Factory started releasing some of these newer ones from the 2000s. The House on Haunted Hill remake, 13 Ghosts, and I thought like, wow, like this could actually be something where we might get a Ghost Ship one. And yeah, it was actually did. And you know, it's interesting. This movie is about this salvage crew that ends up getting this offer from this guy that says, hey, I have this huge salvage that is worth a ton of money. If we can bring that into the port, you guys will make a ton of money. I'll make a little bit. We'll all split it. And they just can't really resist it. And they go and they realize that this ship is like a long lost, essentially ghost ship in a lot of ways. And, you know, basically, once they're on board that ship, they ain't never getting off, man. A lot of terror awaits them, put it that way. I gotta admit, man, rewatching this movie now, because when I watched it back in the day, I thought it was decent, but I wasn't exactly in love with the movie. But watching it now, I really enjoyed it for some reason. And it's isn't it interesting? Because when the 2000s horror was going on, the J horror and some of these horror remakes and some of these sort of ones that were coming out by Warner Brothers and everything, we were all like, well, it's not as good as the 90s. And then, when the 90s was going on, they're like, well, it's not as good as the 80s. And now that we're in like the 2020s, and now a little bit towards it having just finished like the whole like 2010s, now we're going back to the 2000s horror movies, and now we're saying, oh well, it wasn't as good as the 2000s. Isn't it weird? Like, it's just going back and reevaluating those movies again, man. And this is another one of those reevaluations. But I gotta admit, it is pretty good, all things considered, man. I really enjoyed the acting here. I thought Gabriel Byrne was really good here, playing the old school captain role. I really like Julianne Margulies here. She was actually really big on ER along with George Clooney, and she was starting to get more film roles because of her real big popularity on ER, and all the sort of people in between here. I thought it was, it's not the best horror movie as far as plot or character or blood and gore guts wise, but for some reason I still enjoyed all three of those for what we got. Yeah, some of the characters are a little simple. Yeah, some of the blood and gore could have been a little bit more highlighted. But I like some of the creepy and scary aspects to the ship itself. I love the flashbacks, going back to how the ship got lost and how the other passengers got killed and the explanations. Like, I love that stuff, man. Like, that's really cool to this day, man. I thought it was really, really awesome. I like the creepy undertones to the movie. And, it's kind of interesting, around this time we were getting a lot of sort of like ship horror at this point, right? Because we had like Deep Rising, and we had Virus. If you remember Virus with Donald Sutherland and Jamie Lee Curtis, I still like that one. I actually think it's kind of good, man. And that so reminds me of Ghost Ship in a lot of ways. It truly does, dude. I like the movie. The movie, isn't perfect. I think sort of the end of the movie, the explanation of, well, I this ship, and I need certain souls for the devil, and I have to meet my quota. I'm like, what is it, is this like parking tickets? You have to. It's like a cop. You need your fucking quota. Like, I'm like, what the hell? And but I got to admit that it is a fun movie. I like the creepy ship. I like the designs. And some of the deaths are pretty gruesome, man. Like I said, that opening sequence with the wire still is great to this day, man. And I love there's a scene, a flashback, where this woman gets an anchor like right in her like neck, like just end of her face, and it's like, damn, that's some brutal stuff, man. And I love sort of the ghostly images. Like, there's a lot of things that work for this movie, and there's some things that don't. It's sort of half and half. But I gotta admit, I did really enjoy the movie. And this was a whole set of movies that was coming out from Dark Castle at that point. Like I said, like, the House on Haunted Hill remake was really successful. Then 13 Ghosts was pretty successful. Ghost Ship did decent job. And then really what killed it, the whole Dark Castle stuff, was basically Gothica. Gothica came out and literally bombed and tanked and literally killed the Dark Castle brand for good. But for the short while that the Dark Castle brand sort of lived, I enjoyed it. I really did. It was pulpy, and it reminded me of sort of old school horror tales updated for modern times. And I really did enjoy this one. I mean, looking back, my initial thoughts were not terrible, but not great. looking back on it now and some of the horror that we get nowadays, which I'm not, as always, a huge fan of the new school horror stuff that's coming out. I'm not gonna lie, there is a part of me that I guess, yeah, I am a little bit nostalgic for the old days in the 2000s. I don't think I would have ever said that, like even 10 years ago, man. But like, when the genre changes and your taste changes and you reevaluate stuff again, you realize that some stuff wasn't really as bad as you thought it was during the time. And Ghost Ship is pretty fun. It truly is, dude. It's not the best, but it does the trick. Not bad, actually. You get here a new audio commentary with the director, new interviews with the producer, actors Isaiah Washington, and special makeup effects supervisor. You get Max on set. Ghost Ship. Do you remember those old school HBO Max? Not HBO Max. I'm sorry, HBO. They had those on set specials. Like they would have certain ones for certain movies. That was the coolest stuff, man. I remember having HBO and they said we're having our next on set special for Ghost Ship, and I'm like, I love that shit, man. That was like my jam. In between like watching movies on HBO, they would have that. That was so cool, dude. Secrets of the Antonio Graza, a closer look at the gore, designing the ghost ship, Mudvayne's Not Fallen music video. That was, I told you, man, that was one of like the big things back in the day for this movie was the Mudvayne song, and theatrical trailer, man. In fact, funny thing with the Mudvayne song, there's a sequence towards the middle-ish beginning of the movie where they're searching for the long lost ship, and the driver of the boat, the salvage boat, is listening to music, but it almost feels like he's not really even listening to the Mudvayne song. It's almost like he's listening to something else and they just put the Mudvayne song on top of that, because he's actually like dancing, and he's like, and the song is going like, I stand, and he's sort of like dancing. He's like, and he's like, I'm like, bro, you really to the Mudvayne song? Okay, like what the fuck? Oh my god, man. It's a fun movie, man. It really is. And looking back on it, it's pretty good. And I gotta give it some love, man. And I'm glad to have it in the collection now with the really cool slip. And I guess I gotta reevaluate more stuff from the 2000s. Here we go. We'll see how that one goes, guys. But in the meantime, I'll enjoy more Ghost Ship love. All aboard to a sea of evil. Wait a minute! You thought that was it, didn't you? You did. Come on, let's be realistic. You did. You thought it was it. No, I got one more thing to show you guys. And this, I've been waiting to show you guys this one. And the last, but certainly not least, definitely, this. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Yes! Oh, the Dawn of the Dead box set, guys. Look at this. The Dawn of the Dead box set. Oh, the 4K Dawn of the Dead box set. Oh my god. I got it. I do. Yes, baby. Yes, I got it. The out of print Dawn of the Dead box set. Oh my god, this thing. I've been having a lot of fun with this one, guys. Oh, indeed I have. Oh my god, this is going to be a nice collector's item, dare I say. It already is. What the hell am I talking about, man? Yes, look at that. Oh, the Dawn of the Dead. Let's open this sucker up, man, because there's some good stuff here. Look at this. There we go, right there. And on the inside, all this wonderful goodness. We got the original novelization of Dawn of the Dead right here. Very nice. Not half bad. We got that. We also have in here a Dissecting the Dead. Now, what this book is it's a lot of articles and essays about the movie itself. You have pictures, rare photos, a lot of different artwork in here as well. Very, very fascinating stuff here. We do have that. We also end up having the fold out of the 3 discs right here, guys. Now, these are actually, one is the Goblin soundtrack. The other 2 are actually audio library recordings of George Romero and a lot of other people. Very interesting stuff here as well. This is amazing, guys. We have that. And last, but of course, the major one here is we have... Oh, look at this. Oh, yes. Look at that, guys. We have the theatrical cut, we have the extended cut, and we have the Argento cut. Yes, we do. And the bonus features as well. Oh, ho, ho. Oh yeah, baby. This, woo! All that zombie George Romero goodness. Oh my god, guys. This is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was pumped to get this thing. I think this thing is absolutely amazing. Oh yeah. It is definitely awesome. Let's talk a little Dawn of the Dead love, shall we? Now, George Romero, if you have been living under a rock for a very, very long frickin' time, George Romero was, is, and forever will be the godfather of zombies. He absolutely is, guys. And we all look at Night of the Living Dead now as a absolute masterpiece classic of not only the zombie genre, but the horror genre in general. It wasn't always that way. It took a long time to get there, but it eventually became the classic that we know and love. And in between Night and Dawn, George Romero had a lot of problems. Okay, he had a ton of problems that happened. A lot of his movies never really gained the traction or the audience love that he really wanted. They, in fact, lost money for its investors and its financiers. Whether we're talking about Season of the Witch or The Crazies or everything else in between, audiences never really liked what they saw. And unfortunately, a lot of those ended up being failures. I mean, we look at those movies now with a lot of love, but you got to think back in the day, that wasn't always the case. But then there was Martin. And Martin came and was such a very unique and interesting take on a vampire tale. And it really sparked the imagination of people like Stephen King, Dario Argento, and especially Dario Argento really loved the movie so much and loved George Romero's vision that he wanted to work with him. And so he ended up giving money and backing and his influence towards George Romero making another zombie movie, and hence we have Dawn of the Dead. Now, you know, it's kind of interesting because you look at the genre from where George Romero did Night to where he ended up doing Dawn, and within just a short 9 to 10 year time span, the genre had already really changed and reshaped itself. You know, movies like The Exorcist really changed the game, and many others. You couldn't do another Night. You just couldn't do that. It had been done before. There had been copycats. You just couldn't do the same thing. And I think George Romero understood that, man. And I think this movie is so vastly different in so many ways, especially when it comes to the actual zombie effects, which, by the way, Tom Savini did an amazing job here. I mean, yes, looking back on it, it's a little simple with sort of the gray face and a little bit of like appliances here and there, but for the time, it really shocked people. And it's so fascinating because Tom Savini, on the interviews here really talks about how, it was just really just down and dirty. When you were doing special makeup effects or blowing up somebody's fake head or something, you would find anything. You would find stuff, food at the craft service table, stuff that in there, condoms, you name it, man. Just whatever you could find, dude. And it was just like running and gunning. And that's what was so unique about this, because when you're in the mall, and so much fascinating stuff within the interviews where basically they had this run of this mall, right? And they were only able to shoot from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Okay? And you think to yourself, well, that's 8 hours. That seems like a long time. But when you are literally like having to plan certain sequences, and you have to light stuff, and you have to do choreography with the zombies, and you have to get everybody on the same page, and you got all the crew around, like literally 8 hours shrinks down so fast that it goes by in a heartbeat, dude. You have to think fast on your feet. You have to be just a very skilled filmmaker, know what you want, get in, get out, and get the job done. And that's what George Romero did, man. And really, out of all of the George Romero movies, this is the one, this is sort of the rock and roll of his zombie series. I mean, this really is. This is the rock and roll, the fun zombie film of all of the ones that he's done, dude, because there's something there's something fun about being inside a mall and being around these weird bizarre zombies and just having sort of wicked fun with the situation. And I always really loved that. And I always really loved the fact that George Romero didn't mind taking chances. He didn't mind mixing the horror with a little more levity, which I really like, man. There are moments here where they're running around the mall and they're having fun and they're shooting zombies and they're laughing and you love it. And then it quickly turns on a dime where like people are getting chomped on and the horrors of people getting eaten and the zombies are all around you and the fear and just that great back and forth. And George Romero was so brilliant at that. He was so monumentally brilliant, dude. And I love the idea of the consumerism with the money and the idea of like, why are these people coming here? And like, this is something from their daily lives. This is all they know. They knew to come to the mall. Like that's it. Like the mall was their haven, and they're just back. And I just love that, man. And I love the acting here, especially like from Ken Foree and some of the other actors who, you know, are so great at mixing the fun aspect with the horror aspect. They're so great at it, man. And I love just the idea of just a wild ride of a zombie film, whether it's the terror aspect to it or whether they're actually like literally taking pies and smashing them into the zombies' faces. Like you think this is ultra ridiculousness, but there's something about it where you're like, if you were in the zombie apocalypse, you almost think like you would kind of maybe do that, right? Like you'd have your fun, and when you couldn't have your fun anymore, you got the fuck out. Like I love the idea of these bikers coming in here and literally wreaking havoc and toying with the zombies and everything because we're a group of people. We'll kill you all and we'll head off to the next place. Like I love the world of a zombie apocalypse. I just do. There's something about a zombie apocalypse that gives characters free range to do the most bizarre or heinous acts possible. You would never do it in like normal society, but when society breaks down and all you have to interact with are people that you can't trust or dead people that want to eat you, you kind of go a little mad and crazy. And I kind of like that, man. I always did. And I always loved the old school mall. And rewatching it man, did I have a fun time. Because I'm literally watching, right? I'm like, oh my God, there's literally a gun shop in the mall. There's literally a bar, pub in the mall. The wild stuff they put in malls back in the late 70s. Like, really? God, you can't get away with that shit now. Damn, dude. Man, it was such a blast. It truly was a really blast, this movie was, man, and still is to this day. And I gotta say that all of the cuts of the movie are great. I grew up with the theatrical edition, so that's always a special place in my heart. The Argento edition is much shorter than the theatrical cut. Argento decided when it went to Europe and overseas, he basically made a contract with George Romero that said, when it comes here, I can do a cut of my own of the film and sell it in a different way. And so George Romero agreed, sure. I mean, if you're giving him the money, why would he not? And so we have the Argento cut, which is good, but not great. I think it's the least of my favorite cuts. My favorite of all time, though, is the extended cut. I love it. I know some people are like, it's extended, it's a longer movie, but I love the sequences in that film of with the little kids zombies that I really loved. I loved the extra stuff. Like there's an extra scene with Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead. Does a small role in this movie. He's in the extended cut, plus a whole host of other stuff as well. I always love that. Any extended George Romero goodness, I kind of love. I mean, come on, man. You know, it's so fascinating because George Romero was very worried about this movie. In the interviews, one of his friends and his former partner, she came out and she said, George was very worried whether people were really going to want this movie. And he was worried that nobody was going to care about this and that his career was over. And when the movie became unrated, because it was originally an X rating, and they didn't want an X rating on this thing, and they couldn't get an R, and so they just went unrated. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm doomed. This thing is gonna just fall into the pits of hell and never get seen by anybody." And he was so wrong. It really was such a major event for people, and it was such a wild experience. It was like a literal party watching this movie. I remember when I first watched it, and I was having fun with the characters and laughing at the funny moments and terrified at the zombies coming at people. The unique zombies, like the nurse zombie or the Hare Krishna zombie. Like, this movie has such iconic characters, iconic zombies, iconic lines. It is so amazing of a movie, and it still holds up to this day. I've always talked about how I love the zombie genre, but a lot of the zombie movies today just can't cut it. But I gotta tell you, the stuff from the old school days, the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, there's something about those time periods where it was just the inventiveness of it, the blood and gore effects, and just trying to one up one another, the gruesomeness that I just really truly love, man. And this was some of the best, dude, really. And I love this, man. Second Sight definitely gave this the love that it so richly deserves, guys. Now, I showed you the inside of the package. However, there are so much really great content inside this. You get different commentary from all three different cuts of the movie. You also end up getting a whole bunch of new interview segments and all just these old school people who were really involved with the movie. Like, you get one great featurette that is all about the zombies and all of the like actors or the people that were in Pittsburgh at the time who were making the movie, and they talk about everything from the makeup effects to the iconic scenes to how they got into the film to begin with. Whether they were friends with George Romero or just acquaintances, or they heard it through a friend of theirs, and just working with Tom Savini and just having fun on the set, in the mall, Really, really great stuff. You also end up getting a featurette with Tom Savini and some of the crew that they go into the mall now, and they go through the mall and sort of look at different scenes that were filmed in certain areas and how it's very different from now versus then, and sort of their recollections about what went down. There's featurettes on the special makeup effects. There's featurettes on the financing of the film and the distribution. There's so much different great featurettes here. Second Sight really put a lot of their energy into this. So much, man. They really did. On top of that, you also get the old school featurettes from the previous editions. You also get Document of the Dead as well, the great sort of documentary about the making of the movie by Roy Frumkes. So amazing, man. There is such jam packed here, man. Now I have this edition, right? This is all I really ever need. However, I also have the old school Ultimate Edition as well. And this is actually signed by Ken Foree. When there's no more room in hell, Dawn of the Dead. Yes, he signed this at a convention, and I have this. Guys, I'm not getting rid of this. I'm not getting rid of this at all, man. This is so good here. I love this edition so much, man. I've had this edition for like almost ever, man. It's been a long time that I've had this, man. This is not going away. I'm just adding to the Dawn of the Dead love, baby, and the George Romero love, man. Let me tell you something. Okay, I love the zombie genre. And, you know, my passion for the zombie genre started with Night of the Living Dead. And then it moved to Dawn. And then it moved to Day. And there was a time where I thought that, you know, George Romero, like, the only zombie movies you ever need are George Romero ones. And that still may be the case to this day, guys. But look, to be honest with you, you know, George Romero's legacy lives on through movies like Dawn of the Dead, which really, you know, if you really think about it, guys, if you really think hard about this, George Romero invented the zombie genre with Night of the Living Dead, right? He did. He did that. He did something that not many filmmakers are able to do. He did that. And to think that he comes back 10 years later and reinvents the genre yet again with Dawn of the Dead. He reinvents it. He changes the game again. And then you look at his other films, and he's always been somebody who has always wanted to tell great stories within the horror genre, the social commentary and just basically being an indie filmmaker, telling his stories the way he's wanted to tell them. And he got to do that with something like Dawn of the Dead. You could not make Dawn of the Dead today. The way this movie is, you could not do it. I mean, yes, we have the Dawn of the Dead remake, which I love the Dawn of the Dead remake. It's absolutely awesome. That movie is fantastic, guys. But it's not the old school 78 version. It's not. And it never will be. You just can't make that movie nowadays the way it is here. It just wouldn't slide, man. And I just forever love the zombie genre. And, you know, I look back at these old school movies with a lot of love because I see the zombie genre and it kind of frustrates me now. There's not as many good stuff anymore with the zombie genre as we would like. But I look back at the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and there's something about those zombie movies. Whether it was the creativity, the imagination, you know, these filmmakers trying to one-up another, where with more gore and more blood effects and just piling on the craziness. Like, there was something about it that to me really made me fall in love with the zombie genre. And Dawn of the Dead is one of those really great influences in my life that I love so much. A lot of people have literally devoted their lives to loving this, learning every single line, getting autographs from literally, you know, people who had maybe like 10 seconds of screen time. Literally, people have devoted their entire lives to this movie, and I can totally see why. This movie is amazing. Seriously, absolutely amazing. And it's one of the best zombie movies of all time, and deservedly so, dude. This is out of print. I know Second Sight is putting out a regular edition very soon, I believe right around the corner. So if you are looking for another edition of Dawn of the Dead, they do have that. But this one, this is all mine, baby, and I ain't getting rid of it. Just to let you know, man. I paid a pretty penny for this, and it ain't going anywhere anytime soon, man. I love this movie so much, guys. The zombie genre is really close to my heart, and Dawn of the Dead is one of those movies that really is easily like top 5, if not top 3 of all time, man. And it got a box set deserving of so much love. It did indeed, guys. Oh, if you guys love Zombie, if you guys love Romero, and who the hell doesn't? You may have to pay a pretty penny for it. I know I sure did. But damn, is it worth it for some George Romero zombie love? Give it up. Because when there's no more room in hell, Dawn of the Dead will rule the earth. Alright, everybody. That'll do it for the Blu-ray Pickles video for November of 2020. And dare I say, guys, pretty good, huh? Pretty damn good, dare I say, man. Woo! Pretty good haul for November. Not half bad, a little smaller, but some real gems in that pile, dude. Very nice. And now we are heading towards the finale for 2020 pickups, and December is going to be wild, man. It is going to be one of my biggest hauls of the pickups for 2020. I'm serious, man. 2020 is going to end with a bang as far as my pickups are concerned. We got Vinegar Syndrome. We got Severin. We got Dark Force Entertainment. We got Scorpion releasing. We got a little A24 love. Out of print. Horror galore. 80s gems. Oh, and everything in between, baby. It is going to be good, man. Limited editions, collector's editions, special editions, limited slip covers. It is going to be pretty damn plentiful, dare I say. So definitely stay tuned to that. It'll be coming very soon, I promise, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the other Blu-ray pickup videos I do. Check out the DVD and Blu-ray Tuesday videos that I do every single week. Check out the theatrical movie reviews with my friends, live streams, movie hunting like Dollar Tree hunts, and much more. If you are a fan of movies and physical media, hit subscribe and become a part of the Film Fan Nation. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. You really go out of your way to watch the videos. You give me some awesome support, great comments and feedback. I really appreciate and adore every single one of you. You are, as far as I'm concerned, you're like family to me. And I appreciate the love that you give me. And hopefully I give the love right back to you. Seriously, man. So thank you beyond everything. Thank you so much, guys. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And keep up to date with everything I'm doing through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. FilmFan108. Keep up to date with everything I'm doing, plus special pictures and videos I do from time to time on social media as well. Alright, guys. I will see you back next time for the finale of 2020. You won't want to miss it. Alright, guys. I will see you back then. And take everybody, and remember, happy hunting.